Soccer in its earliest days was a very different game. Players often wore their ordinary everyday work boots. These were certainly not designed for playing football. They were incredibly heavy and very stiff. Can you imagine trying to sprint or turn quickly in those? It must have been a real challenge for the players. These boots offered very little feel for the ball. The game was much slower back then. These early boots were primarily about protecting the feet, nothing more. These first football boots were typically made of thick, tough leather. Many even had steel toe caps. This was great for protection in factories or on farms. But on a football pitch, it was just extra weight. When it rained, which it often did, the leather soaked up water. This made the boots even heavier. Players' feet must have ached terribly after a match. Running for 90 minutes in such footwear was a true test of endurance. It's a world away from what players wear now. A major issue was the lack of specific features for football. There were no studs on the soles. This meant players had very poor grip on the grassy pitches. Slipping and sliding were common occurrences. This made it incredibly difficult to make sharp turns or stop suddenly. The game was, by necessity, slower and perhaps more physical. Showing off fancy footwork was nearly impossible with such basic footwear. These boots were a real limitation on skill. The whole idea of specialist sportswear was still in its infancy. Soccer was largely a working-class sport. Players used whatever footwear they could get. The concept of a boot, designed solely for playing football, was quite new. These very basic, heavy leather boots were just the starting point. They highlighted a clear need for something better, something designed for the beautiful game. The long evolution of the football boot was only just beginning. Then came a brilliant idea. Someone realized that players needed much better grip on the pitch. The first studs were quite simple. They were often just small pieces of leather or metal. These were hammered directly into the thick soles of the boots. This single innovation was a complete game changer. Suddenly, players found they could turn more sharply. They could push off from the ground with more power and speed. Their balance improved significantly. Even with studs, these early football boots were still made of heavy leather. The addition of studs often made them even heavier. However, the advantage of improved traction was undeniable. The first studs were usually long and few in number. They were designed especially for the soft, muddy pitches common in places like Britain. Think about those classic images of players battling in the mud. Those studs were essential. This new grip had a massive impact on how football was played. Better traction allowed for a much faster pace of play. Players could be more agile and dynamic in their movements. They could dribble the ball with greater confidence and control. The game started to evolve, becoming more skillful and exciting. Defenders could make quicker tackles, and attackers could shoot with more stability and power. It was a huge step forward for the sport. Soon, different types of studs began to appear. Some clever designs allowed studs to be screwed in. This meant players could change them. They could adapt their boots to different playing conditions. A dry, hard pitch would require shorter studs for balance. A wet, soft pitch would need longer studs for maximum grip. This was the real beginning of boot customization. Football boots were becoming more specialized and tailored to players' needs. The period after the Second World War saw many exciting changes. New materials started to find their way into boot manufacturing. Synthetic leather was a particularly big innovation. It was significantly lighter than traditional real leather. Crucially, it didn't absorb nearly as much water. This was a massive advantage for players. They felt quicker and more nimble on their feet. The boots no longer felt like heavy weights holding them back. Plastics also began to play a major role in boot design. Soles could now be made from lightweight and durable plastic. This made the boots much more flexible than before. It also opened the door for new and improved stud designs. Molded studs became very popular. These studs were formed as part of the sole itself. They could be made in different shapes and configurations for even better grip and movement. Boots were becoming more sophisticated. The benefits of these new materials were clear to everyone. Lighter boots meant players experienced less fatigue. They could run harder for the entire match. More flexible boots provided a much better feel for the ball. Players could control the ball with greater precision and finesse. The game became even faster and more technical. Skill and individual technique became even more important. These new boots helped players to truly shine on the pitch. This shift in materials also had a big impact on boot design. Manufacturers started to experiment much more freely. They realized that boots could actively enhance a player's performance. It wasn't just about protection or basic grip anymore. It was about giving players a competitive edge. The race to create the lightest, fastest, and most comfortable boot was well and truly on. This competition drove innovation forward at an incredible pace. As boots evolved, they became more than just equipment. They transformed into a fashion statement on the pitch. Players started to want to express their individuality. Bright, bold colors became incredibly popular. Unique and eye-catching designs appeared. Think of some of the legendary players and their iconic, colorful boots. It was a fantastic way for them to show off their personality. Boots were no longer just plain black or brown, they were vibrant. Today, the technology packed into football boots is simply incredible. Modern materials like carbon fiber make boots astonishingly light. Yet, these materials are also exceptionally strong and supportive. Knitted uppers, such as Flyknit technology, offer a snug, sock-like fit. This material wraps around the foot for amazing comfort and control. Molded plates in the sole are designed to give energy return, helping players to spring forward with explosive power. These are truly high-tech tools for athletes. So what does the future hold for soccer boots? It's exciting to imagine the possibilities. Custom-fit boots could become the norm for players at all levels. Imagine boots three-dimensional printed to the exact shape of your feet. Smart technology could be seamlessly embedded within the boot. Tiny sensors could track your every move, your speed, your kicking power. They could provide instant feedback to help you improve your game. This data could be invaluable. Ultimately, the quest for improved comfort and performance will continue. New, revolutionary materials will undoubtedly be discovered. Designs will likely become even more amazing and player-focused. Perhaps boots will one day adapt to changing pitch conditions automatically. Or maybe they will incorporate features to help reduce the risk of injuries. The incredible journey of the soccer boot is far from over. It's thrilling to think about what innovations are just around the corner.